Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cone back here again today with another video. Just a heads up, I'm not my usual setup because I'm on a family vacation, so that's why I'm in a hotel room, if you're wondering what the hell is going on back here, but that's not important. NBA free agency, day one, in the books. So many signings, gonna go through each of them in a little bit of detail. I'm gonna make videos full on for some of the bigger signings. For example, I'm probably gonna make an entire video talking about the Miami Heat, because they signed like every free agent under the sun today, so I'll probably make a video specifically about them, so be on the lookout for those in coming weeks, which means you should subscribe and make sure to like the video so you show me some support. Comment down below what your favorite free agency move of the day was, so I knew that you watched the video. Okay, so starting off, the biggest name for agent, Kawhi Leonard. Nothing happened. It's Kawhi. It'll be a couple of days. But probably the second biggest name was Chris Paul, just went to the finals with the Suns, and they rewarded him with a 4-year, a $120 million deal. He's going to be making around $30 million when he's 40 years old, which is kind of insane. But at the same time, it makes sense for the Suns. I know a lot of people are going to say this is crazy, but I don't think this is that crazy just because, okay, the part where he's making $30 million when he's 40, that's a little crazy. But the part where the Suns bring him back to add to a championship core that they already had, it makes sense. When you go to the championship like that for a team like Phoenix that hasn't been to the playoffs in the last 10 years before this finals run, you don't break that up. So, makes sense. Bring Chris Paul back. Is it a lot of money? Yeah, but they were going to have to sign him back anyways, so why not lock him up long term? You never know how long he's going to be elite. Next, Kyle Lowry, also one of the biggest names. We knew this was going to happen yesterday, that he was going to end up on the Miami Heat. I forget if the package was made official or not, but I'm pretty sure it's Goran Dragic, Precious Achiuwa, and a second-round pick for Kyle Lowry, who then signed a 3-year, $90 million deal with the Heat. The Heat went crazy today, and we'll get to some more. Actually, let's just go for it. Jimmy Butler signed a massive extension. He's going to be making $50 million at the age of 36. And I know we just talked about Chris Paul making that much money, but that's kind of wild. $50 million. Not only that, but Kyle Lowry's 3 years, $90 million, averages about to $30 million a year. This Heat team is capped out. This is the team that they're going to try and go to the finals with. And Kyle Lowry helps them out a lot, gives them a great point guard. Goran Dragic has been solid in that regard. But ultimately, with the way that Kyle Lowry's been playing, a proven championship point guard from 2019, it makes sense to add him. They're an older team, and we'll talk about another older team that keeps getting older in the Los Angeles Lakers, but Kyle Lowry made sense for this Heat team, and they finally get him after pursuing him at the deadline, probably for a cheaper price than they would have gotten him, so good on the Heat. Next, Mike Conley, 3 years, $74 million to come back to the Utah Jazz. It makes sense. We didn't expect him to go anywhere. The Jazz run it back. John Collins, restricted free agent. Nothing happened. And he's a guy that the Thunder might look to go after. I've heard some rumors about that, so we'll see what happens with him. I'm actually going to check my phone real quick as I go by just to make sure that he didn't. Oh, by the way, Shea signed a contract extension, so if you thought he was getting traded, you were wrong. Next up, DeMar DeRozan. No news on him either. Cap space is running out really quickly, so I don't know where he ends up, but that's something to keep your eye on. Lonzo Ball, the first name off the board today, signing a 4-year, $85 million deal with the Bulls. I talked about this in my free agency preview video, why I like this so much. His defense and playmaking next to Zach LaVine in the backcourt, I think is a really good fit. They're going to be good. They're going to be a really solid playoff team, I would think, next season. I'm excited for the Bulls. Next, Norman Powell, 5 years, $90 million to return to the Portland Trailblazers. He got a bag, and I'll give it to him. I'll give it to the Trailblazers. He was good. It made sense to bring him back. That's a lot of money, but ultimately, if it's what makes Dame happy, then you have to do it. You have to do what you have to do to keep Damian Lillard happy. If this is what he wanted, you had to do it. Duncan Robinson signing a 5-year, $90 million deal. What I'll say about this is that my kid is going to be a shooter. He might not be 6'8" like Duncan Robinson, but I'm going to make sure my kid gets some shooting reps in, because the way that shooters get paid in the NBA is kind of insane. $18 million a year for a guy that was undrafted is super cool to see. I'm really happy for Duncan Robinson, and it adds some shooting next to Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo on that team, and next to another guy, PJ Tucker, that we'll talk about in a second. Next, Spencer Dinwiddie. Right as I'm recording this video, I don't think they've announced the package yet, but it looks like Spencer Dinwiddie is going to go to the Washington Wizards, which is a replacement for Russell Westbrook. They're going to be kind of a fun team. Not quite sure if they're a playoff team, but they're fun. There was rumors that Dinwiddie would end up on the Thunder, so those didn't happen. Evan Fournier went to another team that spent a lot of money today in the New York Knicks, signing a 4-year, $78 million deal. It was a bag for Evan Fournier, but for a team that needed some scoring, it makes sense. And there were rumors that The Celtics were considering giving him 20 mil anyways, so I don't hate it. 17 mil a year, not that bad. Next, Devontae Graham, 4 years, 47 million from the Pelicans in a sign-in trade. After losing Lonzo Ball, the Pelicans went out and got Devontae Graham, who's a solid player, but it's a downgrade from Lonzo Ball, and I feel like the Pelicans are kind of floundering so far this offseason. They got Jonas Valanciunas, that was an upgrade, but the goal was to build a team around Zion Williamson. They got Trey Murphy, who I liked in the draft. Devontae Graham is good, but he really doesn't help their inability to guard anyone. I just don't see how this team is going to get many stops, and I really feel like that's what they needed help with, so it would have made sense if they got like a Kyle Lowry, who's a solid defensive point guard. They just struck out. So picking up Devontae Graham, good consolation prize, I guess, but they definitely wanted more. Tim Hardaway Jr., 4 years, 72 million, back to the Mavericks, 18 million a year. That's about what I expected. Pick up your second best player from the playoffs, makes sense. Jared Allen, $100 million deal from the Cleveland Cavaliers, 20 mil a year. Him and Evan Mobley are going to terrorize other front courts for a really long time. They're a great duo, and I love this signing for the Cavaliers. Just lock up your guy. He's good. He wants to be in Cleveland. Makes sense. Next, Will Barton, 2 years, 32 mil to the Denver Nuggets. Makes sense. Solid signing. If he's able to stay healthy, he helps out a lot. A name that we did not hear today was Dennis Schroeder's name. Cap space is like gone. So I don't know where Dennis Schroeder ends up. I think he's going to sign for like a mid-level exception. He's not getting the 20 mil he wanted, which sucks. As a former Thunder guy, I wanted to see him get paid. But ultimately, I think his playoff performance just kind of took that away from him. We'll see what he gets paid, but it wasn't today. Gary Trent Jr., 3 years, 54 million. One of my favorite young players in the league, if you didn't know. Bag for him. Well-deserved. Shout out to the Raptors for building this young core. Derrick Rose, 3 years, 43 million to go back to the New York Knicks. Be one of their best scorers again. He's going to be a fun player for them once again. Got all of their points in the playoffs, so it makes sense they brought him back. Drummond and Danny Green, former Lakers, both going unsigned so far. Same with Lauri Markkanen and Bruce Brown, 2 restricted free agents. Rashawn Holmes is a guy I expected to get paid more than he did. 4 years, 55 million. I thought he was going to get like 20 mil a year. From the way that it sounded like teams were hyping him up. He was really good this past season, a borderline top 10 center, so I'm shocked he didn't get more money. But I guess he got paid. So good for him for at least getting paid that much. I really just thought he was going to get more. Next, one of the weirder signings of the day was Kelly Olynyk getting a 3-year, $37 million deal from the Detroit Pistons. He's just going to be their backup center, I think, behind Isaiah Stewart, or I hope he's backing up Isaiah Stewart and they didn't pay him to start because I would hate for that for Beef Stew. So Kelly Olynyk, I think, just spaces the floor, comes off the bench. I think the Pistons are trying to make some winning moves, bringing in Cade Cunningham. They don't want to be bad anymore. Alex Caruso getting a bag from the Bulls, 4 years, 37 million in a deal that feels like a lot of money. I like Alex Caruso a lot, but I don't mind the $9.5 million a year, really. It's just the fact that it's 4 years kind of surprised me. I thought it was going to be a shorter deal. Good for Alex Caruso, another guy who had to grind his way to this spot. Getting another solid defensive player in Chicago is a good pickup. He'll be their backup point guard, and it kind of makes me question what's next for Kobe White. Maybe he plays a shooting guard role, or they play Alex Caruso at the shooting guard. I believe he's taller, if I'm remembering correctly, so they could probably do that. Be a defensive partner next to Kobe White in the bench backcourt. TJ McConnell, 4 years, $35 million to stay with the Pacers. A beast. He killed it this past season. He deserved that contract. Reggie Jackson, so far unsigned. Daniel Tice. By the way, if you're wondering what list I'm looking at, CBS Sports has a free agent tracker, and they ranked all the free agents, so I'm just going through it like that. Daniel Tice, 4 years, $36 million to the Rockets. Not much here, just a good signing. Cameron Payne was a guy that I thought was going to get paid more, and only got 3 years, $19 million, which was kind of sad, because that's $6 million a little over a year for a guy who was one of the Suns' best players on a finals team. Shocking that he didn't get more money. L today for Cameron Payne's agent. Drop a Cameron Payne's agent took an L in the comments if you've made it this far to show support for Cameron Payne. Blake Griffin, 1 year deal, back to the Nets. We don't have the details on that. Makes sense. Victor Oladipo, nowhere. Bobby Portis returning to the Bucks, unlike another player that, like I said, we'll get to in a little bit. 2 years, $9 million. He wanted to stay in Milwaukee. They embraced him, and I think that's an awesome story. JaMychal Green to the Nuggets. Reggie Bullock to the Mavericks on a 3-year, $30 million deal. Good for Reggie Bullock. He's going to be a good 3-and-D player next to Luka. I like that signing for them. Just a couple more signings left, I believe, or notable ones. PJ Tucker going to the Heat. 2 years, $15 million, leaving the Bucks, which I think is shocking. I think he said something on Instagram along the lines of the fact that he's shocked he's leaving the Bucks, so maybe the Bucks just didn't want him back at age 36, I guess. but it makes the Heat scary. The Heat have a potential starting lineup, especially defensively, of Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and Bam Adebayo. That's super crazy defensively. They had a great day in free agency. I'm definitely going to talk about them in a full video, maybe tomorrow. You might see that, or within the next couple days, talking about, maybe I'll wait until free agency finally plays out so I can talk about how good this Heat team is going to be next season. They're looking like one of the top 3-4 teams in the Eastern Conference, looking like they're gearing up to make another finals run, and it'll be cool to watch them, especially, like I said, on the defensive end of the ball. It's going to be hard to score. The Knicks, I almost said the Bucks, because it's Alec Burks, who signed a 3-year, $30 million deal to go back to them. Once again, the Knicks keep their core together. Doug McDermott got a bag. 3 years, $42 million, good for Doug McDermott. Checking my phone once again just to make sure that there is no moves that have happened so far. Doug McDermott to the Spurs is an interesting one. I guess they're just getting a bucket getter. Jeff Green going to the Denver Nuggets. I like that signing a lot for them. Wayne Ellington going to the Lakers along with Kent Bazemore. 2 shooters alongside Trevor Ariza and Dwight Howard. All going to the Lakers today. Really solid role players for this team. Getting some shooters as well as a solid backup center that they had for one season or they brought with them to their finals run, lost him for a season, and now he's coming back. His 3rd time on the Lakers now, separated by different teams. So good for Dwight Howard to be back on this championship contending team. Kent Bazemore and Wayne Ellington are going to provide some shooting for a team that desperately needed it, and I think the Lakers are having a great start to free agency. Zach Collins, 3 years, $22 million to the San Antonio Spurs. Big contract for a guy that can't really stay healthy. We'll see what happens with that. And I think for the most part, that might be it. Korkmaz back to the Philadelphia 76ers. Austin Rivers back to the Nuggets. And Mike Muscala back to the Thunder. The Thunder's one free agency signing of the day, unless you count SGA's max extension that he signed. Trae Young also signed a max extension, so good for him. Otto Porter Jr., I think I just got an alert for that, is going to the Warriors, which is a good signing for them. So those are all of the free agency signings so far. If I missed any, let me know, or this video might just be coming out after the signings have happened, so might miss out on that, but I appreciate you guys watching this video. Let me know what your favorite signings were in the comment section below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content all throughout the offseason and heading into next season. We're gearing up, and the offseason is only getting started. Plenty of trades to still be made, so you don't want to miss out on those. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys later. Real One Say It Back.